Alright, what I'm going to do tonight is just, I'm not going to go to the board, but I'm going to briefly go over the 4 steps. Alright? This is a review from last week. Last week, we did it on the chalkboard, on the board. And if you want to see it, you can go to YouTube. Barber YouTube or Atlanta Step Up Society, and you can see the entire process of the 4 step, or you can get the CD or the DVD. I highly suggest you to get one of these because it'll help you when you're doing your step work. Alright? And it's very important to do a 4 step because the key to your future in recovery is in the 4 step. You're not going to be able to do the program without a thorough 4 step. It just won't happen. Okay? And we're going to show you that in the book. But if you turn to page 65, this is just a quick review. Because at the end of the 5th step, I'm going to have to go back and review steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's in the book also. Alright, so we're dealing with resentments. We're not dealing with fears right now or sexual harm. We're just dealing with resentments. Alright, so this is Bill Wilson's example. This is an example of how to do a 4 step. Now they're in columns. Column is from top to bottom. Column 1, a column 2, and a column 3. That's what's on this page. So if you was to look at the top where it says, I'm resentful at, then it goes, Mr. Brown, Mrs. Jones, my employer, my wife. That's the column. Alright, so what he did, he just lists names. Then after you list names, you're going to list institutions and then principles. Once you get it all down, leave your little space because more will be revealed. Then you're going to do column 2. He goes over here. He says, all right, look at Mr. Brown. Then he started listing the causes. His attention to my wife, told my wife of my mistress, Brown may get my job at the office. So he did for each person, he lists the cause or why he was angry with this person. All right. So on your paper, let's say, trying to start with the easy people first. The people who, your family members, husband, wife, ex-husbands, ex-wives. You want to get all the easy people who you spent a lot of time around. All right, and you want to list everything that kind of pissed you off about them or made you angry about them. And what you want to do, I like to number it so I don't get confused. Now you can't do that on the sheets that we passed out. You have to get a notebook. Alright? So let's say brother or siblings or whatever, sister or brother, and you list it, put their name down, you put the causes. You might have 10 or 15 causes on that one person. Then you go to the second person and you list the causes. It might be 10, it might be 8. I don't know a number. But I can honestly tell you this. If you've been married for 10 years, you're not going to have one resentment. That's not a thorough job. You're defeating the purpose and you're going against yourself. If you cheat yourself, you're cheating the world. Alright? So you do a column 2. Column 3 is a little different. It has self-esteem, personal relationship, ambitions, and about 7 different areas that you're going to have a check against. Now, the main thing is, only way you can really have a resentment is something about you were affected. Somebody did something to me and I'm pissed off at them. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. And then we're going to talk about a column 4 later on in this study. So basically, we got column 1, that's the resentments. Column 2 is the causes. Column 3 is what part of self was affected. Affected my self-esteem, my sex relation, my money, my personal relationships. It affected something about me in order to have a resentment. That makes sense? Alright. So what I'm going to do now is you're going to hear some stuff that, because when you're dealing with step 4, 5, 6, and 7, we're talking about our psyche, our mind, our mental condition. That's what we're trying to change. We're going into our thinking. Remember I told you you have to change your thinking to change your life. Alright, and it's going to teach us how to do this. So I'm going to break it down as simple and as easy as possible to get a good understanding. My sponsor taught me, if you're going to teach this class, be able to break it down to a kindergarten level, so everyone can be able to understand what's going on. If I'm throwing out big words and philosophies that's over people's heads, I'm not helping nobody. And I see it a lot in the room. They say words that I don't even understand. Okay. And I use the dictionary. So that defeats the purpose. That makes sense? We're going to break it down the best I can. And then you go home and you study, and you study and you get it and you break it down for someone else. Alright? So what we're going to do, we're going to start at the bottom of page 65. I love this book. I don't have to carry it. Thank you. We went back through our lives. Everybody see that page? Alright. Go ahead, Steve.
We went back through our lives. Nothing counted but thoroughness and honesty. When we first finished, we considered it carefully. The first thing apparent was that this world and its people were often quite wrong. To conclude that others were wrong was as far as most of us got. The usual outcome was that people continued to wrong us and we stayed sore. Sometimes it was remorse, and then we were sore at ourselves. But the more we fought and tried to have our own way, the worse matters got. As in war, the victor only seemed to win. Our moments of triumph were short-lived.
All right, let's go over that paragraph. When you're doing your 4th step, we want you to go back through your life, as far back as you can go, to as young as you can go. Remember I told y'all what I went back to my very first resentment against my father and leaving the military, and I have to move from my world, which was my playground. That was my first resentment that I could remember, and then it just kept growing and growing and growing and growing until I ended up doing a 4th step. The sad part about it is I never even knew I had resentments. I knew people were pissing me off, making me angry, but I did not know that I was clinging onto resentments, holding and storing this negative energy in me. That's what it is. It's negative energy, like little blocks of negative energy that I stored in myself for years. Alright? Nothing counted but thoroughness and honesty. Now, I know for a fact, I did my very first 4th step was thorough and honest. And then when I start working with other people, I start to see a pattern. Most of us are, people try to leave stuff out, but a good sponsor done heard anything and everything anyway. So I know if you're leaving something out, You cannot have a glaring defect and I see it and everybody else see it, but on your step work it's not there. You know what I'm trying to say? If you work, if you work in an environment and you stealing all the time, and everybody know you a thief, and then you go to your work and thieving don't come out of it, then you holding something back. You just being dishonest. And you're only cheating yourself. My philosophy is I have family and things like that. If I cheat me, I'm cheating them. If I cheat myself, I'm cheating my sponsees. Alright? So honesty and thoroughness is very, very important. when we were finished, we considered it carefully. And then it went on to say, the first thing apparent was that this world and its people were quite wrong, were often quite wrong. When I was doing especially at the causes, I realized that I had a ton of resentments. I had, I would say 600-700 resentments when I finished the Colin 2. And everybody had done something to me. From anything that you can think of. They have stole from me, they have beat me, they have lied on me, they have cheated on me. Everybody had done something to poor little Robert. Everybody had hurt me. Alright? And it said to conclude that others were wrong was as far as most of us ever got. And what I realized, and I had heard it in the meetings, is that as far as most people go in life is to blame other people.
Right.
And when I used to hear that before I did the step work, I would say, that's not me. I don't blame anybody for anything. But once I did column 2, I realized that's all I ever did, was blame people for what I did. I blamed everybody else, and I was right, and they were all wrong. I started to notice some patterns about me. So what I was doing, I was getting this kind of awareness about myself and about what was going on. The very first awareness for me was the low and high self-esteem. Column 3, how I felt about myself in the self-esteem section, low or high. Once I started doing the work, it was apparent to me, very, very clear to me, on my paperwork, on my inventory, is that I suffered from low self-esteem my entire life. That was a spiritual awakening for me. By my life, college grad, military officer, airborne, ranger, and all this kind of stuff, had the ability to go in any job, start at the bottom, on the very bottom level, work my way up to management. I thought I had high self-esteem. But once I did this, even in every phase of that development or the laurels in my life, I found out on the inside of me, I suffered from low self-esteem. That was a spiritual awakening for me. Because if you would have caught me in the midst of this stuff and asked me or told me that I suffered from low self-esteem, I probably would have cussed you out and been angry at you and blame you. Because I know I did not suffer from low self-esteem, but that's not what my inventory told me. That hit home. Now I'm starting to reveal or realize what they're talking about when they're talking about doing inside work. Because I was truly a dressed up garbage can. The next big one for me, and I can go on and down the line, was the one on personal relationship. What I think other people are thinking about me, whether they thinking about me or not. I spent most of my life worried about what I thought other people thought about me. Not knowing if they're thinking about me at all. But I thought they did. So if somebody were to walk by me and I had on, let's say, high water pants, that messed my day up. Because I saw somebody look at my pants, it just took me out of, they controlled me for that whole day. I'm walking around pulling my pants down. You know, doing all kind of crazy stuff because I'm worried about what I think someone thinking about me. They could have walked by and said, wow, in their mind, that's a nice style, I like that.
Right.
But with my insanity going on, it was all out of proportion. All day long this is happening. All day long. All day long. If I went to the barber shop and he cut 1/8 of an inch back too far. That was a week. That was a whole week for me to worry about what I think other people are thinking about my haircut. Till that little bit grew back. It was a week. It was a week. I don't even want to talk about what I thought other people were thinking about me when I was homeless. I might as well just dig a grave and jump in it and bury myself. Alright? So these are the things that was becoming apparent to me. You know, so I was really, really grateful for the 4th step because I was learning more about me. It wasn't me about learning about other people no more. It was more about me. That makes sense? So it says that the usual outcome was that people continued to wrong us and we stayed sore. I just want to take a little bit, when we're talking about our mind, alright, talking about our mind. Talk about clinging for a minute. Clinging. It's an old Asian cliche, or it's not, it's real. Clinging is to have a set of thoughts and you build on it. You know what I'm trying to say? Building blocks. You know the little, what's that, Legos? Legos, what the kids play? Right? And a thought, it could be like, let's say, okay, let me give an example of this company. You know, we have a thrift store. And people make comments on the internet. Most of the comments is in the flavor of this. The Step Up Thrift Store is the little junkie. But we love to come there and ramble through the junk. It's not neat. The furniture is great. Very good prices. The clothes are excellent. The rest of the stuff is excellent. So they'll start out with the little junkie, and then they'll start talking about the good stuff. This is most of the stuff all through the internet. And what I mean by clinging, for me, this is me. A clinging would be if Wayne or somebody tells me about this stuff that's going on the internet, because I don't sit down and read it, you know, and I'm not listening to it. Clinging would be, okay, that person said I got a junkie thrift store. Now I can go along with the good parts. You know, it's cheap and they enjoy the furniture, the mattresses and the bedroom sets and the dining room set. I can go along with that. Clean would be, I dare them call my store junkie. We clean it every morning. The guys go, now they don't know that. They don't know, see, this is cleaning. They don't know that my guys go down there every morning and we clean up. Fabiola comes and straighten up the racks and get all the clothing back in order, and we recover the store. We mop every morning, right? They don't know that. All I'm doing is putting these little Legos together. Y'all see? They don't know that. They say that the electrical don't work. We done sold 10,000 TVs for $15.99. They do work. The whole city buy TVs, so I don't know what they're talking about. Click. You know, I'm putting these little blocks together, right? And next thing I know, 2 hours done passed, and I've been putting these blocks together, creating this model, or how would I say, creating this melodrama. They wrote one sentence, and I done spent 2 hours on this melodrama. Yeah. And then, now I'm gonna build up my defense. That's clinging, y'all. So then I walked downstairs. I have not let it go. The comments really generally was good. I go downstairs, somebody says, oh, it's junkie in there. And then, bam, I'm off to the run. That's a lot better than it used to be. But there is a part of me. There is a stillness of me, my true self, that could supposed to be able to hide behind that building block. Just be able to take in stuff, relax, stay behind that energy that I put in there, and let it go. That's where you're supposed to be. This is where we're heading, and that's basically in the 6th step. So they use the word clinging in the 6th step. But in order to teach it, it tells you right here the usual outcome was that people continue to wrong us and we stay sore. If the people wronging me, or am I creating melodrama so I can't continue to say sore? It's me. Everybody getting this? Yeah. It's me and my thinking. Me and my thinking. Sometimes it was remorseful, and then we were sore at ourselves. After I spent all these hours building this block up, this model, and then I go off on someone, now I'm in remorse. And I'm mad at myself. We do this over and over and over. That makes sense?
Yes.
But the more we fall and try to have our own way, the worse matters got. As in war, the victor only seems to win. When I see that one sentence right there about war, I think about the NATO forces and how we go over and, you know, we can like go to war with a country, attack the country, tear it up, the buildings and, you know, and the streets and everything, and then come back and have a victory parade, you know, we won the war, and then NATO send you back over there to fix it, to rebuild it. Mm-hmm. So that, I think about, like, you're in war and you won the war, you victorious, but it's all fake, because now you got to go build it up. You got to go back and repair it. It's kind of like, why go in the first place? But that's what they say about us. We build up, tear down, and then have to go make amends. Over and over and over. Our moments of triumph were short-lived. Everybody got that? And the reason I brought in clinging and the mind thing, because you got to understand that we're going to have to learn to let go and let God. We don't have the luxury or opportunity anymore to harbor all this stuff in our mind. There's no peace in it. There's no sanity in it. It's all insane. All right?
It is plain that a life which includes deep resentment leads to futility and unhappiness. To the precise extent that we permit these, we squander the hours that might have been worthwhile. But with the alcoholic, whose hope is the maintenance and growth of a spiritual experience, this business of resentment is infinitely grave. We found that it is fatal. For when harboring such feelings, we shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the Spirit. The insanity of alcohol returns, and we drink again.
All right. So you can see how easily it is, if you were angry with someone, how you can keep adding on thoughts to make it larger and larger and larger. That makes sense? In your mind, you make it up. So it says that it is plain that a life, this is like to me, I call it the dying paragraph, because it talks about death. It talks about dying. Alright? It says, it is plain that life, which includes deep resentment, leads only to futility and unhappiness. If you have deep resentments, somebody hurt you, broke your heart, and you harbor this pain, We're going to talk about pain later. You harbor this pain. It feeds on, you feed on it, it grows, and it's what it is like locked in energy. Negative energy in you. Have you ever had a situation that's so disturbing that it tightens your chest and your heart? When you think about the person to ride, getting ready to ride over to the person's house, it just takes your breath. It just hits you in the chest. Your chest heat up. Your heart feel like it's just tight. It just gets tight. That's like a deep resentment. In the back of the book, we're going to talk about deep resentments later on, how to get rid of it. But it says that if you harbor this type of anger and pain, it leads only to two things. A useless and unhappy life. The people who hold the resentment is not free. So if I'm holding the resentment against Eddie and it's painful and I'm letting it eat at me and I'm thinking about it at night and it's growing and growing and growing, and Eddie at home watching the football game with his leg crossed, eat spaghetti with his wife, he ain't thinking about me at all. Who's the sick person? Me. The person who holds the resentment is the sick person. This type of anger, now we're just lightly touching on it. It affects every cell in our body. A lot of medical people and scientists even take it into diseases that come from it. Now, I'm not qualified, so I'm not going to talk about it, but it goes deeper than just being angry. All right? To the precise extent that we permit these, do we squander or waste the hours that might have been worthwhile. We're talking about the hours in our mind, in our psyche. If I wasn't spending so much time being pissed off with Eddie or someone who wrote a comment on the internet, spending 4 or 5 hours dealing with that, I probably could be praying or creating or working with on myself or helping someone else. But I'm not doing that because I'm harboring resentment in my mind. A lot of people think that if I'm resentful, let's say I know people, and I'm not like that no more, but I know people that if the man in the gas station said something bad to them out the way, they held a resentment and they won't go into the gas station no more. They drive 10 miles out the way to get some gas, and then look at me and say, I'm not harboring no resentment, I'm just not going in there no more. They have no clue what the resentment is. They think it's because I don't go in there no more, I'm free. No, he's controlling you. It's in your mind. It's in your thinking. It's in your thinking. People come by here right now. We have a couple words. Well, they can't really do that in here because it's too, how would I say, it's too tempting, too cheap. You have an argument with me, you get 2 hours there, you try to get back in. You know, so they don't do it here. If they argue today, next week where they come, they're right back here. And I know that when I argue with someone or have a resentment with someone, I don't feel good no more. You know? So it's a feeling, and what it does is it controls you. They dominate you. They manipulate you. They got you under their control when you have this resentment. Alright? And you waste a lot of time mentally. We're talking about inside. When we're talking about inside, I ain't talking about inside the stomach. Let's get that clear. I think a lot of people get mixed up with that. Inside your psyche, your mind. Where all these resentments reside in your mind. They're not in your body, they're in your mind. The feeling will come back to your body when you think about that situation or person, and you grab hold to that anger it will affect everything again. But it's in your psyche. It's in your mind. That's why step 4, 5, 6, and 7 deals with your psyche, with your mind. You cannot recover just thinking if you're just going to a meeting like a robot and not changing your thinking. That's not recovery. And it's not spiritual. You're going to see that. But with the alcoholic, whose hope is the maintenance and growth of a spiritual experience. That's what we're trying to gather. We're trying to get rid of these building blocks that's blocking us. Get rid of this type of thinking so that spirit that's in us can flow in and out without being blocked. But the love and the energy of God can flow in and out without being clogged and blocked. That make any sense? It just takes work on your mind. It takes work on your mind. So this business of resentment is infinitely grave. Grave means, we know what infinite is, ever expanding. Never having an end. Like God. The universes. Just keep going and going and going. In our universe, it's trillions of stars. They know that there's billions of universes like ours out there with trillions of stars. I'm sitting on a planet Earth, just a little dot in the middle of all this stuff. They got the nerve to have a resentment. Something wrong. Something is so horribly wrong. With all this vastness, you understand what I'm saying? All this universes, all this energy, and I'm going to be blocked? That's insanity. Infinitely grave, it means extremely or deadly serious. Remember I told you this is my death one. We found that resentments, it is fatal. Resentments kill. It will kill you. Not only bodily, but mentally and spiritually. It kills. So if you harbor resentment and you think you got it on, I'll tell you you're wrong. What it's doing is blocking you from expanding. Blocking you from growing. Because you're spending more time on the resentment than you are on growth and maintenance. For when harboring such feelings and shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the Spirit. For when harboring such feelings, we shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the Spirit. The Spirit of God that's everywhere in every human being inside of us. Remember when I was doing the example of putting the clinging the blocks together because someone wrote on the internet and I was trying to defend myself? That's still blocking. There's a level of spirit where I just supposed to sit still and know that there's God. You don't have to defend. You don't have to judge. You can even be at a position in your recovery, in your spiritual journey, where you watch the thoughts that come across your mind. You don't even have to respond to them. So let's say I read something or someone told me about something on the internet. My thoughts come to my mind. I just watch them go by. Up here, that's where you know that you become a spiritual. You don't act like other people. You don't think like other people. You're starting to grow spiritual. Things that used to bother other people, don't bother you. I'm in a big universe. I had someone tell me today I got on the wrong color shirt. Before I was cussed out. But spiritual growth, let it go. Let it go. Well, really, I had two people. My wife told me I don't want to say I want to change it. No, but what I'm saying is that there is a position where we can watch our thoughts go back and forth. Just like the car going down the street right now. I'm not thinking about no cars that pass, but I see them. I could just let my thoughts go by and be still and know that I'm God. That's when the peace comes. If I allow, which I have done for years, every thought that comes across my mind, if I think that that's me, I try to respond to that. And I'm doing all kind of crazy stuff because I believe those thoughts was really me. And it wasn't. It's not me. The stillness behind these thoughts are me. I have a confrontation with somebody downstairs, just a little confrontation, over $2 or $3. I let it go, and I walk on away. Don't think my thoughts have let it go. My thoughts go back and tell them, cuss them out. You know that you were right. Go back down there and make sure that they know you right too. Those thoughts come by my mind. But remember, those thoughts are not me. The power lies in the ability to stand behind them. And don't let them control me. That's what we had. So it says that the insanity of alcohol returns and we drink again. And with us, to drink is to die. We die. I have had a lot of people, you know, when you work in a recovery environment, I was thinking about, I have seen a lot of guys come in and out of our program, and I've seen a lot of people in the fellowship too, that will get mad at people in the fellowship, or they'll get mad at the counselors in treatment, or they have a resentment against staff, like in our place. And really, this staff or the person in the fellowship, or anytime there's some kind of disagreement, we really do try to settle that, to have some kind of peace in that situation. I've had guys in my office, and me and two people of the staff will sit down to try to resolve this anger, this situation, and you really truly think you got it under control, and the client or the person says everything's good, and they walk out the door, and it starts up in their head. Then the next morning you call them, they don't come to work, or they're not in the fellowship no more, they went on a relapse. Because they never let go of the resentment. They only did it temporarily. But they didn't have enough tools in them to have enough strength to practice it once they got away from that situation in the office. That makes sense? Yes. People getting in the fellowship, you got guys with more clean time, and a newcomer come in and raise their hand and share. Then the guy that have more clean time, hear that share, he know it's not right, but he don't know how to coach him or put him to the side. You know, I'm trying to have tact and do it understanding. What they did the old time ago, he cocks his, I call it a bazooka. You know, like the military got them guns? He cock his bazooka and just got that newcomer, boom! Yeah. Blow him up. Guy has a resentment, go and use. And the old time, post up. I got him. No, you killed him. You killed him. Alright, you got to understand this program. Alright, go to the next paragraph.
If we were to live, we had to be free of anger. The grouch and the brainstorm were not for us. They may be the dubious luxury of normal men, but for alcoholics, these things are poison.
if we were to live, we have to be free of anger. And Lord knows we got a lot of anger. Okay? Then it goes on and says that the grouch and the brainstorm were not for us. They may be the dubious luxury of normal men, but for alcoholics, these things are poison. Let's look at that word grouch, because I see this all the time. It says in our dictionary, one who is habitually irritable, grumbling, whining, complaining, and a fault finder. Always, habitually. They do it so much they don't even know they're doing it no more. It's normal. Now I see that all the time. I train my mind to, like, let's use finances. I hear people all the time, I ain't got enough money. Oh Lord, I don't have this. Look at that man over there, he rich. Look at him. You know, always, it became a habit of being in a lack of condition. It's a habit. Habitual complainer. Go to buy gas, it's $3.39 here. I bought it yesterday, it was $3.37. Like the 2 cents don't make any difference. Always complaining about this, or if the sun is too hot, or it's too cold, or it's too wet, it's too this, it's too that. And it says, and the brainstorming, that's always have fits of anger. Always going off. It said that for normal folks, even though we uncertain, dubious mean uncertain, and luxury means pleasure, it might be an uncertain pleasure, both thing that they can get away with, but we're not going to be able to get away with it. We can't change our lives by keeping these old complaining, fault-finding habits going on in our mind. They're just adding on another condition of our mental condition. You know what I'm trying to say? If you're thinking in a lack of condition, and you've been doing that for, let's say, 40 years, 30 years, I'm just going to say me. This is fun. If I've been thinking poor for 40 years, I'm poor, I ain't got nothing, I can't pay this, I can't pay that, and it worked, because I'm still poor. Imagine what might have happened if I changed it and I'm rich. For 30 years, I can pay this, I can do this, money comes to me fast and easy, I can do this, I can travel, I can do that, then it'll work too. If my thinking kept me poor, change my thinking, it'll keep me rich. Just change your thinking. Because it worked. If I think about drinking and drugging, and when I get my next $100, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that, I'm going to run on this side of town and cop over here. It worked. It worked to a T, to a science. That's why we ain't here. If we think about other stuff, good stuff, helping others, being a sponsor, getting here, opening up a treatment center, you know what I'm trying to say? Being a sponsor, being working with people, working in the treatment center, that'll work too. It'll work. Next one.
We turn back to the list, for it held the key to the future. We were prepared to look at it from an entirely different angle. We began to see that the world and its people really dominated us. In that state, the wrongdoing of others, fancied or real, had power to actually kill us. How could we escape? We saw that these resentments must be mastered, but how? We could not wish them away any more than alcohol.
We turn back to the list. That's our fourth step. Our fourth step. For it held the key to the future. If you're going to have a future in the program of recovery, you have to do a thorough and honest fourth step. That's your key. That unlocks the door. That's the success. Your success of your recovery is going to be based on how much work you do on your 4-step, because you need your 4-step to continue to do the steps. We are to prepare. We were prepared to look at it from an entirely different angle. That's what I've been trying to do tonight, as best I can, is to let you see that you're going to do some mental work. So that's a different angle. Alright. It says, we began to see that the world and its people really dominated us. They controlled us. I thought about a situation. I built that situation up, blew it up, you know, and then that situation controlled me. And it was usually about other people. It was usually about other people. They dominated me. They dominated me. In that state, that's a condition of the mind. When they say the word state, they're talking about conditions of your mind. They're talking about Georgia and Florida. They're talking about the state of your mental thinking. The condition of your mental thinking. You can change the condition or the states of your mental condition by your thoughts. I am poor, the state of thinking, I am rich. If you don't believe it, put it to the test. If you don't have to believe me, you can test it for yourself. So it says that in that state, the wrongdoing of others, fancied or real, had power to actually kill. Fancy or real, man, I don't even know the truth. I don't know if it's real or not. But I done built it up in my mind. Now it's real. And it's controlling me. And I can do something to kill a relationship, kill myself, burn bridges, as we say. All kind of insane stuff because of my own thinking. And it's not even real. I can hurt someone with my building blocks, with my thinking, and it could be all done on a lie. It's not even real. How could we escape? We saw that these resentments must be mastered, but how? We could not wish them away any more than alcohol. You can't fix resentments with more resentments. There's got to be a way to figure this thing out, to get rid of some of the resentment. Well, I can honestly tell you the first way to get rid of 80% of resentment is to do the steps. You'll see how crazy they were to even have them. How they didn't make any sense to have them anyway. One of the best ways to do it is to do the column 4 of the 4-step, where you're looking at only what part you play. When you're looking at what part you play, the resentment melts away. Because it was all about me doing it anyway. Alright. Next.
This was our course. We realized that people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick, but we did not like their symptoms and the way these disturbed us. They, like ourselves, were sick too. We asked God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, this is a sick man. How can I be helpful to him? God, save me from being angry. Thy will be done.
All right, that's a prayer. This was our course. We realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick. Now here's the deal. I guess in that sentence right there, in order for me to realize that someone else is spiritually sick, I had to have done some work to see that I was spiritually sick. Alright? So, this is, we're a little bit past the column 3 going into the column 4, and I'm getting to see this sickness that's spiritually in me. That make any kind of sense? And Now, I remember when I first got in recovery, I'll never forget this, that when I had stopped using. And then I would see other people still using. And I had this part in me. I hadn't really worked no step. But I said, well, I remember when I was using, I was spiritually sick. And now they're using, they're spiritually sick. You know what I'm trying to say? And that made me be less angry at someone when they asked me for $1 or, you know, trying to harm me or something like that. I used that. But then as I started to grow spiritually, I started to see that there were things I was healing in areas that other people around me in my family and other places was not healing. And I think I first found myself being more of a fault finder in them and judging them because they wasn't doing what I was doing. I became righteous. But as I started to grow, I kept seeing that keep me sick too. And I had to learn to let them be and practice tolerance. And then heal myself. Alright? So it said, and that's very, very, very real spiritual growth, is when you heal yourself and allow others to speak. Alright? It said, though we did not like their symptoms and the way these disturbed us, they like ourselves were sick too. I like that word disturbed because that's inside of us, and we're going to talk about this later, is when I'm disturbed, there's something that's inside me that's affecting me. Normally it's pain, fear or pain. And I build up this thing where if I don't want to feel pain, you disturb me and I don't feel it, don't want to feel it, I do little acts to go around it instead of feel it. You know what I'm trying to say? If I got to pay a bill and they're calling me, they disturb me. I do little acts. I know who they are. I put DNA. The people think I'm talking about the sales? No, do not answer. You know, I do, you know, and I know I owe these folks. And sometimes I have the money, but I want to do something else with it instead of pay them. So they're starting to disturb me. They're putting this tightness in my chest. Instead of going, I would be better off I just open up and let's say, you know what, let me just tell the folks. I don't have your money right now. But I really do. Okay. You ain't gonna get it today. I can't do it today. I got to be free. You know, that probably would be better. Yeah. But I can't do that. I can't. This pain, I don't want to feel pain, so I do things to go around the pain. Okay. Instead of feeling. And if I don't go through my pain, you understand what I'm saying? If I don't go through it and let the energy be released, I'm just harboring pain. That's not spiritual healing. That is not spiritual healing. That is more insanity. Spiritual healing is to go through your fears and not around it. So y'all, this thing was deep. They were sick too. The people calling me sick, and I'm sick with them. We ask God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, this is a sick man. How can I be helpful to him? God, save me from being angry. Thy will be done. That's a prayer. And I love that prayer because I have been in situations, especially in my family and you know, a lot of situations where I could have harbored a resentment, you know, in my claim time, but I allowed it to go. I had to ask God for help. I did my steps on it. I released it. I didn't have to worry about the other person, and it came out okay. It came out okay. But I remember earlier though, my resentment healing was like, okay, I'm gonna fix me, but you gonna have to get fixed too. It was like a one-on-one injury type thing. If I'm punished and I'm freeing myself, you're gonna have to free yourself too, and I'm gonna make it clear. You know what I'm trying to say? That I'm letting it go. You're gonna have to let it go too. That's not no spiritual healing. It's about me doing it and allowing God to work on them. All right, the next one.
We avoid retaliation or argument. We wouldn't treat sick people that way. If we do, we destroy our chance of being helpful. We cannot be helpful to all people, but at least God will show us how to take a kindly and tolerant view of each and every one.
All right, it said we avoid retaliation. That's what I was talking about, retaliation. If retaliation, the word said inflicting injury in return for injury. Punishment. So we want to avoid injuring someone because we've been injured. Or arguing. That's a hard one. But you're going to have to learn to do it if you want to grow spiritually. Remember now, we're not just talking about just staying clean and sober no more. We're talking about growing spiritually. Alright? It says that we wouldn't treat sick people that way. If we do, we would destroy our chance of being helpful. We have to always have the energy flowing through us. Always be in a position that I can help someone else. If I see someone, and I have done it myself, that's how I know. But I'll tell you about it next week. But I have to stay in a position that I don't want to do something that's going to spiritually damage someone else, and then later on, when they thought about maybe coming to the treatment center or trying to get their life clean and over there and say, oh, I ain't going over there. I remember what he did to me or how he treated me. Alright. So it said that we cannot be helpful to all people. I'm going to say that again. We cannot be helpful to all people. Don't try to get clean and sober and save the world. But at least God will show us how to take a kindly and tolerant view of each and every one. I like that better. Because I started my spiritual journey and my 12 steps trying to change the entire world. Now I'd rather have a few good sponsees. Somebody that really want the program. Because I thought that if someone would keep relapsing, it was my job to run out them to go get them. And I tried, and I was getting frustrated because it wasn't working. So it's kind of each in their own turn. I think we will stop here tonight, but what I wanted to do was try to give a different angle, a direction of where I'm coming from and what the 12 steps have done to me and how much mental work you have to put into this program. This is not a program about just going to meetings. Now you got to do the work. When we're talking about doing the work, we're talking about the work on your site, doing the work on yourself. If you don't change, then you don't change. I'm pretty sure you can keep picking up chips and don't change. I done seen it. I have experienced it myself, but it's about now growing up and changing spiritually. Thank y'all for with me.